The three-spined stickleback is the only native fish species that was present in Mountain Lake. Those fish last were collected in 1928 from the lake. When they went extirpated, we're not certain, but they were definitely extirpated by the 21st century. There are other populations within the Presidio coming up from the ocean in the bay through the creeks. So the removal of the non-native fish, the predators and the habitat degraders, allowed us to talk about the reintroduction of the native fish, three-spined stickleback. When you introduce species, you really have to be considerate of where you're getting them from and the genetic stock that you're getting them from. We ultimately chose Lobos Creek as the source population to grab the stickleback from, which would have been the historic population going into Mountain Lake. And in particular, we chose the squirrel cage, which is the intake for the water treatment plant. We chose that mainly for the logistical ease of that. It's very easy to get into. It's a very deep pool to access. There's a lot of stickleback that are coming upstream and ending up in this little pool. So it's a sort of a catchment for these stickleback.
So we're sending them to Missouri State University, where Dr. Chris Barnhart, he's going to be testing the relationship that Anodonta californiensis, the freshwater mussel we want to put back into the lake. They're a parasitic mussel, and they actually have a stage in their life where the larvae of the mussel actually clamp down on a host fish, and they absorb the nutrients from the fish, and then eventually will be released. So we're trying to test whether or not these are actually suitable hosts.
It's never been officially confirmed. It has only been documented out in the field that stickleback have been seen with glaucidia on them. But whether or not they're successful after that was the big question. So we took 15 individuals of stickleback from Lobos Creek and we shipped them off to Chris Barnhart, a leading expert on freshwater mussel conservation and propagation in the lab. He had a brooding female that he then inoculated these fish with and was successful at getting juveniles that came off of the fish. So he was able to confirm that yes, this fish, three-spined stickleback, will be a suitable host in Mountain Lake for this mussel. In addition to that confirmation that Chris did, he is creating a protocol so that we can then bypass this fish stage in the lab. So imagine the female mussel has, we'll say, 10,000 glaucidia in her gills. In the presence of a fish, it's likely that less than 10% of those will actually make it to the juvenile stage. Whereas if we propagate them in the lab, we can almost have 100% recruitment. So we can take those 10,000 glaucidia and sort of bypass the fish and come up with 10,000 juveniles, which can then go in Mountain Lake. So the idea is to kickstart the population in the lake while at the same time kickstart the population of fish, so that in the next 2 to 3 years, they will then be self-sufficient. And that 10% survival of the mussel glaucidia will fall into the natural balance of it all. And that's what we want, so that it'll be a viable, sustainable population. So we harvested them from the squirrel cage, and we used seine nets and minnow traps to maximize genetic variation and to reduce inbreeding and reduce disease. We're trying to get 1,000 individual fish by the end of 2015. So the first harvest that we did, we got 153. That was actually a very high number, and I'm very happy with that number for an initial batch to release.
Did you get the other side?